Over the past few years, I have had some really intense experiences as it pertains to my exploration of how do we align ourselves with indigenous pre-American, pre-colonization concepts as a descendant of or descendants of settlers or those folks who traveled because of colonization or because of other situations and circumstances. The answer obviously is not an easy one, nor is there just one. And being a spirit worker, shaman, whatever words we want to use in whatever language you use, it's very important to me to help us align, help me align, help us align with beliefs, thought patterns, actions that bring a harmony, because I don't like the word balance, that bring a harmony, that bring an alignment to us where we live. I believe there are some very lost to me, and therefore to others, because I'm not alone in this. There's some lost teachings, wisdom, things about living in relationship, period. Living in relationship with the land, other people, animals, plants, everything else that is alive and has a being, that is a being, pardon me. And for us currently, one of the major wealth storehouses of this knowledge is through those people, those humans on our planet who live very close to animistic or belief systems that we identify with the word indigenous. I've been practicing my belief system, my worldview has been practicing and evolving for nearly, well, I'm 50, 51, for that long, but over the last 20 years, moving away from the systems or the thought patterns that tend to be not just consumer, but consuming systems, and looking at the reality that truly, if something were to happen and I had to grow my own food here in the high desert of Utah, this land this land could not sustain the number of people that live here. What does that mean? How does that look? How do we do it in a better way? The last 2 summers, including just last weekend, I attended Fire in the Mountains, which was up near, right on the edge of Glacier National Park, on the land of the Pekuni people, the Blackfeet. And both events had workshops or presentations or panels that dealt with many of the, not dealt with, that offer information and experiences and ways that we can look at, as one of the panels put it, indigenizing the mind. Very, very inspiring, very thought-provoking. And so I've been sitting with this concept that I'm about to share with you for a year and a half, maybe a year at least. And I want nothing more than to be able to say that beyond being a human living on planet Earth, that I am and live an animistic perspective that we would consider indigenous, with all the wisdom and relationships that entails. As I began working through and working with those ideas, this phrase, label, however we want to put it, came to me. And it is this, that I am an ancestor of future Indigenous generations. Sometimes I, which means other people too, can get overwhelmed with, we got to fix it now, fix it now. And yes, it needs to be fixed. And also, it's not about just fixing it now and for now. I really honor and love the idea that there are some Indigenous pre-Americans that work with the concept of 7 generations before and 7 generations after. I also honor the idea presented that when the glaciers receded from Northern Europe and people began to move into that area, they were not indigenous to that area. It happened over generations and centuries. And how it came together was that they brought with them their the ancestor, pardon me, the memories of their ancestors and their ways into this new land. And because they formed new relationships with the land while still having their lives influenced by these memories, those created rituals and ideas that became the indigenous practices of those people. Now, today, I was writing a little bit, and I think words are very powerful. And so, without thinking too much, I will write and use whatever words come out and come about. And they're not maybe always words that I look at or use frequently. So, in my conversations with the runes today, the runes of Northern Europe, urus came out. And 2 phrases that stood out to me were free yourself and trust your body. Part of the poem that came from was the poem that I coined in my book, Runes, Experience and Gnosis of a Modern Rune Walker. And part of it talks about trusting ourselves and our bodies because our bodies are recycled molecules over and over from our ancestors, and they can be our bodies can be trusted. And so this next phrase is what came out onto the paper after that. I am a unique amalgamation of my ancestors. I had a brief understanding of what amalgamation meant, but because I think it's important, I looked it up. Some of the definitions that came about, I had written down, but this is a good kind of differentiation between 3 words. Assimilation, acculturation, and amalgamation. I didn't realize that amalgamation actually did have to do with people. So in society and culture, it had its own kind of separate definitions. So the mixture of these 3, amalgamation refers to a blending of cultures rather than one group eliminating another, which would be acculturation, or one group mixing itself into another, assimilation. And I'm going to go back and read you this then. Distinct racial, social, or cultural groups blended together to form a new shared societal identity. We talk about America being a melting pot, but I feel like melting pot tends to turn into the word assimilation, not amalgamation. Let me continue. Amalgamation differs from assimilation because groups mutually share traits rather than a minority group absorbing into a dominant majority. We've not done very well at not doing that. So, this series is going to deal with, I'm playing with the idea of a day in the life of an ancestor of future Indigenous peoples. And as I continue to explore this, I've done it for years now, but a year and a half specifically with that title, uh, uh, looking at what are things that come up in our daily life, in my daily life, that change, pardon me, that potentially are stumbling blocks to the idea of becoming or being a good ancestor of future Indigenous peoples, especially here on the North American continent, um, where we have so many things wrong, out of alignment. Sorry, wrong's not the greatest word. Out of alignment for what I believe to be the way for us to move forward. So, one of the ways. I hope that idea resonates with you. If you're seeing this, I hope that you look forward to more of these videos because I think it's an important thing. I think it's something that we're all missing and we're all searching for. And I think for me, this is a good putting my finger on it. We haven't been able to put our finger on it so that we can then at least start to form language around what it is that we're feeling and experiencing and why this needs to happen. Up front, not great at monitoring the comments and conversations. So wherever you're seeing this, potentially I have turned off the comments, not because I don't want them, just because that aspect of the responsibility of putting out content like this is not something I'm able to do. So for now, it is meant to inspire questions and thoughts and shifting within ourselves, especially during such a time of immense truth revealing about ourselves and about our society and our culture and our government and our world. So feel free to share these videos with people or post them or whatever you want, repost them, whatever you want to do to help continue the conversation moving forward. So a little bit about me now that you've made it 15 minutes in. I am an initiated winged shaman of the Northern tradition. What does that mean? It's tradition influenced by my ancestry from Northern Europe, more specifically Norse or Anglo-Saxon, and yet our the my colleagues even work and spread as further out than that. Not a Nazi. Yes, I have runes tattooed on me. I even have the word heathen tattooed on me, not because I'm a heathen, but because it's an honoring of the term for people who come from the country or the uncultivated land of Northern Europe, similar to the word pagan, but more specifically for that part of the world. I don't like binary. I don't like any of those things that have to do with light and dark, good and bad, any of that. I think they're constructs that are unnecessary. I think that I know some of my friends hate when I say this, but it's a good example. I don't like Disney because they keep telling the same story over and over. They're changing it a little, and I think that's good. But we as people need to begin to change the story because in our current stories, if you want to be a hero in the story, which means your own life too, you have to find a villain. And we will find a villain. We will find people who are less than us. Less than us. We will find these things, and those stories aren't helpful. I think they're one of the things that keep us from being an understanding connection. Did I tell you I wasn't a Nazi? Okay. Just kidding. I just had that come up recently. So I am covered in tattoos. A lot this I will tell you, this triple spiral comes from inside Newgrange, which is in Ireland. Most of the other animals I have on my head are representations of Pictish stone carvings from Scotland. This spiral here that works its way out this way is representation of the creation story of the worlds of fire and ice coming together. This bind rune is one that I have for myself. These are the roots of a tree. This is the horn of the antler, pardon me, of the red stag, and these are the roots of the world tree, the blue. So I do feel very much like these came from within me, which kind of goes back to amalgamation, right? Amalgamation being, hold on, I also need reading glasses. Action or process or result of combining separate things, organizations, or cultures into a single unified whole. And my comment being, I'm a unique amalgamation of my ancestors. I do feel very much like that's part of where all of my, especially the ones that came about after I consciously began my training as a shaman, as a spirit worker. I know some of you may hate that I use that word shaman, and I'm not really sure what other word to use. Again, language is tough, right? I know we will get into language in terms of English, English being a trade language, a language of commerce, and not a language that has a lot of words that deal with what we're talking about now. Even emotion is tough. So, what else? I think that might be it for today. We're at 20 minutes. I appreciate you hanging out and listening today, and I hope that because you're still here, you are still interested in becoming or living, not becoming because you already are, living life in a better alignment that allows for us to be generous, benevolent ancestors of future indigenous populations of people. For me here in North America, for you wherever you are, and that means deconstructing some of the things we've been taught for generations. So I think that's it. I end my videos traditionally with this blessing for you. May your weird be filled with health, wealth, strength, and virility.